Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today two retired Indian Navy officers. We have today Lieutenant Commander Sanchit Kaushik and Lieutenant Commander Chandresh Mittal. Sanchit sir is a retired helicopter pilot in the Indian Navy, and Chandresh sir is a submariner. So in this interview, we'll basically understand both of their journeys in the Indian Navy and various life lessons, and also the fact that both of them are postmates. So we'll try to understand how their journey was, and any question that you haven't, you can always put it on the comment. So thank you both of you for coming on this session.
Our pleasure,
Our pleasure.
Akash.
So if you could, start telling us, Sanchit sir, starting with you, how was your journey before joining the Indian Navy, and what was your motivation back then?
Well, before joining Navy, I joined Navy in 2010, July. So prior to that, I did engineering in computer science. So 2005 to 2009. And prior to that, I did schooling from St. Xavier School, Jaipur. So I would say the attraction towards the armed forces, I'll not say the attraction towards Navy, I'll say the attraction towards the armed forces or towards the uniform, towards the military was from the school time. So I belong to St. Xavier School, where our seniors, they have served for our mother nation almost in all the three branches, Army, Navy, and Air Force. And during the time of Kargil also, we had some martyrs from our school. So their photographs were, placed in the central lobby. So from there, I have seen these photographs growing. And every year on a sports day of my school, some General Saab from the Southern Western Command of Jaipur, from Indian Army, he used to come and motivates the students. So my background starts from there. The story started from there. And yes, by the time I came into engineering, वो कहते हैं ना पागलपन पूरा जोरों शोरों से था. And the only thing which was there in front of me was the uniform. Any uniform, maybe Army, Navy, or Air Force. I just wanted to wear the uniform. And finally, in 2010, this dream which I saw along with my parents was a reality, and I joined the service.
Got it. Sir, coming to you, Chandresh sir, how was your journey before joining the Forge?
So I was also studying in one of the public schools in Jaipur. And if you know, we come from this generation who have seen movies like Border and LOC Kargil. And a live war was fought in front of our eyes, like the Kargil war. And we used to see all that news coming through the channels, all the coffins which were being brought, and all that kind of patriotic fever which was there around that time. So that played an important role in shaping our minds. But as you know that a kid who is generally good in studies, has science, maths in 11th and 12th class, generally goes for like engineering side of things. So I also followed the suit. Technology always interested me from the school days. So I went to a lot of doing a lot of science projects while I was school, CBSE, National Science Exhibition, and everything else. So engineering always fascinated me. So it was clear whatever line I will be choosing, it will be into engineering only. So that was like a major building block in my life, that I was very clear that what attracts me most. And if I can build a career in military, that will be through engineering. I went to Vellore Institute of Technology, electrical engineering. I did well there. In fact, in 2008, I started a startup also. And we closed down that startup only because I wanted to join Navy. A couple of my co-founders which were there were very angry at me. So, and this thing of joining Navy also happened by chance, because there was a scheme called entry scheme, and I was Indian Navy luckily came to our college for recruitment that time, because our college was the biggest college in the whole region. So they generally come to one college and they will call candidates from surrounding colleges there. And I have not filled the form for Navy. I had in fact filled the form for Indian Air Force. But chance had it, that form did not reach the Air Force recruiting office, because I had sent it by speed post and they wanted it by registered post, and they sent me back. While the naval officers who have come to my college asked people that somebody who has not filled the form at the later date also, if they want to submit some form right now, they can do it. And the same day I submitted my form to them, I went through the interviews which were held in the college, and finally I got the SSB call. So I also had 2 offers from the college into the company, but something which was always there in back of my mind played here, choosing Navy over the other thing, because Navy is also one of the more technologically advanced force. So both of my things were getting satisfied, going into engineering field and going into the defense forces. Yeah.
Got it, sir. So if you can, also speak about your experience in the SSB, that is Service Selection Board. How was it? Also mentioning which entry both of you were from. So Sanjay sir, probably you can start. How was your SSB experience? Which entry?
I got recommended from the Services Selection Board, Bangalore, in 2010 March. So my entry was short service cadet aviation entry. Entry which can allow somebody to go and fly. First, you finish off your exams after the Services Selection Board interview, like the PABT exam, which happens for a pilot, and couple of stringent medical tests which happened at the Services Medical Center. So I got recommended out from there. And prior to the Naval SSB, I had applied for the SSB of Indian Army through University Entry Scheme. And prior to that, I had applied for the Indian Air Force also, the SSB. So this was my third attempt. And finally, I got through the Naval SSB. And the best part was I got into the flying branch. So it was a dream coming true that in future I'll be flying the latest state-of-the-art machines.
Got it. Chandra sir, coming to you, how was your SSB experience back then?
So for the Navy, I went to SSB in Coimbatore, which is a specialized naval selection board. And I also gave an Army SSB for Technical Entry Scheme Permanent Commission. And for that, I went to Allahabad. I got recommended from both the boards. And SSB experience was very smooth. If you say first time when I was going to give SSB, I was not prepared at all, right? Just couple of days, because I was in the second last semester of the college. There were a lot of activities which were happening then. Placement season was in full swing. Lot of companies was visiting to recruit us. So somehow I did not get any time to prepare for SSB. I just brushed through what are the stages of it 2-3 days in advance before going there. And it has actually helped me a lot, because when I was talking to some of the people there after getting selected and recommended, they were also bringing out this fact is if you bring out your originality there are better chances of you getting selected. So in my SSB, we had candidates who were SSB veterans, 6 SSBs, 10 SSBs, so many SSBs. Somebody will say, I got recommended here, there, somebody took coaching from n number of places. But I think this originality which I had made me clear both the SSBs from Naval SSB Coimbatore and the Army SSB in Allahabad. One important doubt which people generally have, or misconception which people have, is that Allahabad or SSB is difficult one, but it is not there. Both the SSBs were at par with similar levels and similar kind of things which were put and tests which we were put through.
Got it. So I'll take that question a little forward, and we hear about the officer-like qualities. So what is your perspective about it? What are these qualities that are being looked for? Can these be developed and then people go? Or does it eventually get developed over your training period?
Yes. So this set called officer-like qualities, we also talk about it in the armed forces during our training phase, as much as we talk about it during the SSBs. But there is a lot of hype which goes around it, right? So if I tell you there are some set of qualities which cannot be developed, and there are other set of qualities which can be progressively developed over time. If we divide all these set of 12 to 14 qualities into 4 major groups, we can say first set of quality is related to brain, or the qualities which go around your intellect, right? And it does not necessarily mean your intellect as in how intelligent you are in conventional sense, but it also means your emotional quotient and your relationships which you build with other people. So that first set of qualities come under brain, right? Then the second set of qualities come under strength, and that does not mean physical strength, but means strength of character, strength of emotions, and other kinds of strength which people have or develop over time. The third set of quality is leadership, and it is self-explanatory. In an officer, you should have leadership qualities. And the last set is determination. So determination and grit is as important as leadership or brain or related emotional qualities, which other sets signify. So generally, we divide officer-like qualities into broad these 4 sets, and we can go into deeper. This topic is a very, very long topic if you want.
I would like to add out here is the attitude of the individual, maybe prior to SSB, maybe once you entered into the service and once you are going through the journey of the service, the attitude is the most important thing, I would say. And in aviation, there is a very famous saying, the altitude is defined by your attitude. So this thing, I would say the students should keep in mind that attitude has to be very positive and very focused.
Got it, sir. I would like to take you back to your, the days in the Naval Academy. How was your life in the academy, and any memorable instance, you would like to share with the audience who is right now watching this? We'll start with Sanjit, sir.
Okay. The life of academy was, I would say, very, I enjoyed my tenure in Naval Academy. And the academy, the environment of academy is like this. Their job is to make a student into an officer. So that is the most important thing. Somebody who enters from his college a very raw, half of the things he is not aware of, how to behave like in, we say, officer-like qualities. Yes, in the back of the mind, you have the officer-like qualities, but how do you express those qualities in front of the others? So academy is something which teaches you from there. And finally, after 6 months or after 1 year, it makes an officer out of a candidate or a cadet. So my journey in academy was quite entertaining. In fact, Chandresh was my squad type only. We both come from the same city, Jaipur, and we were both in the same squadron also. And one incident I would like to touch upon here is, as we say in military, is all about team management, team players. It is never about individual selfishness, nothing. So one incident was there. What was happening is, almost we were into the second or third month of academy, and we had some exams. So prior to the exam, during the breakfast time, I was in the dining hall, and I did some mistake. I don't remember actually. I think it was related to some cutlery. I was holding it in the wrong hand, because Forge teaches you each and everything from point to point. Maybe if you have to hold the fork in particular hand, it has to be in the particular hand. So I think I was holding them vice versa. So one of my academy senior, he saw this. So he told me, stop, gentlemen, stop. And then he told me, drink a jug of water. So the jug of water used to be some 2.5 or 3 liters. And now if a senior has told you to stop your breakfast, there's no doubt you have to stop your breakfast. Now, if your senior has told you to have a jug of water, there's no doubt you have to have the jug of water. So I filled up my entire stomach with the jug of water. Now we rushed through to our exam center. The exam center was almost maybe 1 kilometer from the breakfast room. So you have to again double up running towards the exam center. Finally, 2 hours of exam. And what happens once an individual who, instead of having a breakfast, if you have 3 liters of water, what will happen in the exam? Continuously you will be rushing towards the washroom. So the same thing was happening to me. After every 10 to 15 minutes, one round of washroom. So the instructor who was there as an invigilator, he saw something. This is not something which is normal happening. So he asked me, cadet, what happened to you? So I told him that, sir, instead of having the breakfast in the morning, I had a full jug of water. And I thought maybe, crying baby gets the milk. So that moment, I thought the instructor was very cooperative enough, and I was able to convey my feelings and my emotions to the instructor. But what happened was, again, we went back to the normal routine. Now, in evening, when we had almost finished our sports period, the instructor had come to the squadron. And the instructor who comes to the squadron in an off-working hours, it is not something very general in nature. It is something has happened. So I was not aware. We were all standing there. In fact, if Chandresh would like to rewind the memory, he can think on those lines also. So now what happens is, he comes to the squadron and he calls all the seniors of the squadron. And then again there, Bragada and all those started. So now, again, I was not able to realize what is this story all about, what has happened. Then finally, when we were also called up, then I came to know that the seniors were not able to take charge of the juniors, and that is why the junior had to crib in front of an instructor, and that is why this rigada is happening. So now the instructor goes back. Now it is the time for the seniors to take charge of the juniors like us, our course. So then again, and we were told to get our baskets filled with water, and you people want to crib in front of the instructors. So the entire course had to drink a lot of water once again, and it was more than that jug. And then again, our session started midnight. So that day I realized that the service is all about team management. There is no individuality. One individual commits a mistake or goes on a wrong path, the entire course has to stand along with the individual. So it is always, team. There is no space for the individual players. There is no space in military for the individual gladiators, I would say. As a team, you win, and as a team, you lose. So this is about my experience of the academy and one moment which you asked.
It's like the one for all and all for one.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sanjay sir, coming to you, any memorable instance that you have from the academy?
Yeah. So before coming to this particular question, I would like to go back to the first question, and I have suddenly remembered a very, very good incident which has also motivated me to join armed forces. My connection with Sanjay does not start from Jaipur or from the same squadron or from the Navy. In fact, he would not remember, but when he was studying in St. Xavier's School, APJ Abdul Kalam came to his school when he was still the president once. And they have invited few students from each school of Jaipur to meet him personally. And I was lucky enough to be selected from my school and to go and meet him there. And there I asked him a question that, what does freedom mean to you, sir? I was in 9th class, but somehow this question has always stuck with me. And he was a very, very great personality, a people's leader. So I wanted to ask this thing to him. And the answer he gave me changed my life. He told me that the real freedom will mean anything to me when on 15th August and 26th January, the biggest festivals of our country, we would be able to celebrate on Red Fort without any security. It pains me deeply that to celebrate our festivals, we have to deploy 15 to 20,000 Jawans every year, and every year under threat, we celebrate these festivals. So he told, you children, if you can make smallest contribution to your nation in regard in improving overall security scenario. And remember, that was a time where all the militancy was on peak. India has just came out of the Kargil war. We have just conducted our Pokhran test few years down the line, and there were a lot of sanctions. There were very troubled times for India. So his answer should also be seen in that those contexts. So this has also motivated me in doing my way towards the country, whatever I can contribute for as many years I can. Now, coming back to your original question, one good memory from the academy. What happens in academy is divided into various squadrons. So mine and Sanchit's squadron was the same squadron, the Cobra squadron. And in the morning, 4:30 a.m., tea comes, and it is kept in the squadron hall. It's the common area in the squadron where all the dormitory rooms will open, right? And all the seniors will get the first privilege to drink the tea. And Kerala during monsoons is very bad, right? It's very rainy, very wet, and it's cold. So if you get hot tea 4:30 a.m. in the morning, it's like bliss. But somehow junior cadets or first term cadets were very, very afraid going in the morning. If they can see any seniors in the night suit, it's again a set of punishments, because it's a tradition that you cannot see your senior in any funny rig or anything, right? So one day during our fall-in, our squadron commander came and asked the first term and second term cadets that, do you have any problem? So one new cadet suddenly told, yes, sir, I don't get tea in the morning. So squadron commanders also have a very peculiar way of dealing such kind of situations, right? So he called the squadron cadet captain, who is the senior most cadet in the squadron, and told him, please ensure that cadet gets tea every day. And the squadron cadet captain got his message. Now from next day onwards, only that cadet used to drink the whole can of tea. And he was not allowed to do anything before he finishes that whole can of tea. And after finishing that whole can of tea, he used to do 100 rolls. So that whole can again comes out. So that way, it was a way to communicate the message that smaller problems of a group, a cohesive unit should be sorted out internally. And right from the squadron cadet captain to the squadron commander was trying to convey the same message. So that was, there are numerous memories, but this is one of them.
Got it, sir. Sir, I like to take you back to, how was your training experience? Because both of you are from, different cadres, being a pilot and a submariner. So Sanjay sir, if you could tell us, after the academy, for a pilot of a helicopter, how does the training look like?
Okay. So after 6 months of Naval Academy, the training, the basic training, what happens is during my time, almost 12 years back, we used to go to Kochi for the ground subjects training of the aviation subjects which are related to aviation, but all theoretical training. So almost 1.5 months we used to go there in the school which is there in Kochi. And once you clear those ground subjects, again there is a test. Once you clear all the ground subjects, then you are the one who's selected for the flying. It is not that you have joined the cadre as a cadet aviation entry, so this means you will go and fly. No. Once you clear the Naval Academy, you finish off all your ground subjects related to aviation. Then I had gone to Air Force Academy in 2011. So I went with Air Force for 6 months. In 2011, we went to Dundigal, Air Force Academy, Dundigal. So there for 6 months, we flew Kiran aircraft, which is a fighter trainer jet of Air Force. So almost 24 hours the training happened on the Kiran aircraft, and we were made to go solo finally in the Kiran aircraft. So that is the end of the training. Now about the schedule of the 6 months, I would say the schedule of the 6 months was full of studies, just study, and full of the flying related preparations. So if a cadet has to go and fly maybe half an hour in air, then the training which happens on the ground happens in the form of a chair flying. So almost, maybe I would say 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours used to be the chair flying, individual chair flying. What I'm gonna do in the air, how will I maneuver the aircraft, how will I do the checks and procedures. So we used to pretend there is a cockpit in front of us. So there was a board also. Every cadet was given a full instrument panel board of Kiran aircraft. So we used to put our chair in front of it and assume, and wearing a helmet and the gloves, assume you're sitting in the cockpit only. So just train and rehearse yourself. And so this way the ground training used to happen, and then the flying training used to happen. Apart from that, every day we were going to the squadron. So the squadron routine, the flying squadron routine also starts like, morning 7 o'clock is the morning briefing. So by God, by 0655, the cadets have to be seated in the briefing room. Then the MET briefing will happen. Then the ground briefing will happen. Then the instructor will come and take the aviation briefing. And after that used to be the emergency session for the cadets. So they will make us stand on the podium, and 10 instructors of the squadron will be sitting behind, and I'll be facing all the pupils, somewhere 40 to 15 number. And one imaginary situation will be given to me that I am flying in this sector, I'm doing this aerobatics, and suddenly the engine failed, or suddenly the flame out happened, suddenly the loss of the control of the aircraft. So this way we had to, entirely narrate out the practice emergency. So, and evening times used to be generally the sports time in academy. Although now we were in the second term of the academy, so we were little senior, but not so senior enough. Little senior, so maybe little more personal time we used to get. And this way the 6 months actually passed. From Air Force Academy, after qualifying from the Air Force Academy as a pilot, then again I had come back to the Navy, where my helicopter flying started. So this training started in Arakonam, which is somewhere closer to Chennai area. So 6 months I was again trained on to the helicopters. So whatever I had learned as a fixed wing pilot, I had to unlearn and now learn the helicopter maneuvers, because the helicopter flying is totally different from a fixed wing flying. So
Yeah,
6
that's
months training over there, and almost the routine used to be same. And I would say on 17th December 2011, finally I earned the wings of gold, and I became a fully operational pilot in Indian Navy. So this was
got it.
about the journey of aviation training.
Got it, sir. Sir, I have just one more question. You trained on a fixed wing in the Air Force Academy. So how does the choice happens ki whether you will be in the Navy also flying a fixed wing or a helicopter? Is it
So
you give a choice?
okay, so what happens is once the course is getting over, so there is a merit which is being made. So on the basis of the merit is one thing, and your options are one thing. So as a pilot, you have to give certain options. That this is my option number A, option B, and option C. So I gave first option to helicopters, second option I gave to fighters, and the third option I gave to transport aircrafts.
Okay.
So with the merit of the academy, merit of the cadets, and with the options of the cadet, this way the intersection happens, and finally, I can just say whatever I wanted, I finally got that. I wanted helicopters, and I got the helicopters. So I was quite happy.
Got it, sir. Chandresh, sir, coming to you, we have seen a lot of videos of how submariners, actually train. A lot of videos out there. How was your experience when you were, undergoing the training after the academy?
Okay, so see, submarine arm takes intake of officers in two ways. Like one are the direct entry submariners who fill the form for the submarine vacancy, right? And the others are like general service. So we were general service electrical officers. We were being inducted for ships. But during our course of training, so after the first 6 months of the military training in the academy, we are sent to respective institutes or the respective schools for the training, right? Electrical engineers will go to Jamnagar and train there into different systems of the ship. People who perform well in that course, top 6 people will be given choice to opt for submarine arm, and another 6 people from the full batch will be given choice to opt for air electrical arm. So there are electrical engineers for the air arm of the Indian Navy, and there are electrical engineers for the submarine arm. So since I did well in the course, I was able to get the submarine arm, which I always wanted. And from there, a different set of medicals will take place. So there will be a pressure chamber test, which will test that how your body behaves under pressure, and other specialized medicals, which are harder than the normal medicals or normal specifications which are required to come into military or general service military. So if you pass those medicals, then you are sent for the training. The training center is in Vishakhapatnam. We call it INS Satwana. There are a lot of YouTube videos on the training also there. And the submarine training is completely different experience altogether, right? Because a submarine is like a spaceship, which is the iron capsule, totally encapsulated from the outside environment, and everything should be inside only, right? There are no windows, nothing. And if a small leak or break happens, the whole submarine goes down, and whole 100 people who are in that submarine will go down. So the training virtually revolves around that by mistake also you should not make any mistake. And they are very particular in training you up to the last nut and bolt of the submarine. So if you ever get a chance in going inside a submarine, you will see that it's like sitting inside an engine, right? And anybody from any branch, right, even a cook or a sweeper who is inside the submarine should know each and every system. So for first 6 months on that base INS Satwana, there is mock-up of each and every system of the submarines, and we are trained there. And we also do certain escape drills from an escape chamber or something like that. If submarine goes down, how to escape and all that drills. After passing out from that particular submarine training school, we are sent on board a submarine, and for next 6 to 12 months, we try to earn our watchkeeping certificate or the submarine batch, right? In that, we are actually trained on the submarine systems, and then there is a board which happens, which certifies that this person is capable enough to serve inside the submarine. And on that day, we get a dolphin badge. And after getting a dolphin badge, there is further more 6 months of training and subsequent board to certify that this person can individually take charge of a submarine. So even if I am an electrical officer, I will do watches inside a submarine, so that when everybody sleeps, I will take control of that submarine individually. And that's a very responsible job, because whole lives of whole 100 people will rest on you. If you take a wrong decision or if you delay in taking an action even for 3 to 4 seconds, right? Suppose a fire is has been lit inside a submarine, right? And there is an accident. So that fire can consume the whole oxygen inside the submarine within 7 to 8 seconds. So whatever action you have to take within that, right? So that is the final certification after which you are officially allowed to serve inside a submarine. So this is a quite lengthy process, something like that.
Got it, sir. Sir, Sanjay sir, I would like to take you back, about your first solo flying that you have done in the academy. So how was that experience for you?
The first solo in academy was in 2011, somewhere I think on 8th of April 2011. So what happens is, just the day you are supposed to go solo, prior to that will be a solo check. So, and it happens on the same day only. It'll never happen that the solo check is happening today and tomorrow morning the pupil will go solo. No, both the things will happen simultaneously. First is the solo check. So what happens is, it's a check sortie. It's the first time I am about to go solo in the air with such a huge machine along with me. So the adrenaline rush is always there, as a cadet, a little nervous, palms are sweating, that it's a very important day for my life, in my life. So for that day morning, my flight commander of my squadron took my solo check. So in fact, I still remember the way we used to walk along with the instructors. As a pupil, we will be on the left side of the instructor, half a step behind the instructor, and we have to match the steps and the hands along with the helmet on the left side. So the training starts from there. He took so in the solo check, I will be doing each and everything. The instructor will just sit there as a piece of stone, I would say. And if the instructor used to say, if I think that you are going to crash this aircraft, then only I will take over the controls. Otherwise, I'll just keep silently. Whatever you want to do, it is your sortie. You do your profile, come back. If I think you are safe, I will clear you for solo. If you are not safe, you will flunk. So all the starting up of the machine, taking the taxi call, taxiing on the disposal area, then lining up for the runway, then full open throttle, takeoff. I think I showed him 3 circuits and went into the sector, showed him some aerobatics. So I was quite, he was quite impressed and satisfied with the performance of the pupil that day. Came back, showed him almost 3 circuits, so three landings, consistent landings, and the landings has to be by God consistent, no unsafe landings. The basic aim is, if you think when you are about to come and land with such a high speed, if you're a little unstable, then you'll go into a rollover, you'll topple on the runway only. So if you think you are unsafe, just open throttle and again go round. So as a pupil, if you go around again, there is no problem, but it should be a safe landing. Whenever you touch down on the runway, it has to be a very safe and a controlled landing. So I showed him 3 safe landings. So finally he told me, yes, you go solo. So he debriefed me, and then I took again briefing from my instructor who used to teach me last 3 months, and then I went solo. And in solo I did 2 circuits. First was a go round, and second was a touchdown. And I'll tell you, by God, I still remember that time, completely solo, and just come and land. And I just used to wish कि बस अच्छे से land हो जाए, आज कोई mistake ना हो जाए, because there is no instructor sitting next to me, and the entire machine and my life is at stake. So बस आज अच्छे से land हो जाए. And finally it landed. The bird landed safely, and that was the biggest achievement of my life. I would say maybe entering into Navy, I'll consider as a smaller achievement. Clearing solo that day was a bigger achievement for me. So that is the experience.
Chandra sir, I'd like to come to you. You spoke about the Dolphin badge or the Submariner badge that you get. If you could, highlight the significance of it, and also as a young officer, when you went into the submarine for the first time, how was your experience?
Okay, so Dolphin badge is something even the armed forces officer or naval officers cannot buy, right? It is earned from blood and sweat, and it gives you basically right to call yourself a submariner, which is very, very special class of people akin to people from special forces, marine commandos, Garud commandos, something like that. So submariners are also kept in that uh, uh, group, right? And whether or not you serve on submarine after earning that badge, but you can wear that badge throughout your life, right? Even after your retirement. So that is something once in a lifetime that you gain. So it is cherished very, very much, right? And there are a lot of ceremonies which are also associated with it. For example, baptization by sea. So once you earn your dolphin badge and submarine takes a next deep dive, so the water from that depth of the sea will be taken out, and you are made to drink that. And after that, you are finally baptized by sea. The second part of your question, I'll narrate an incident when I already got my watchkeeping certificate. After earning the dolphin badge, there is a watchkeeping certificate which enables you to take independent command of the submarine. And it was generally being told in the submarine circles, even if you earn your watchkeeping certificate, the commanding officer of the submarine will not give you independent watch of the submarine for the first few months. You will be under somebody. So I had just cleared my board. And my submarine was going out on the sailing. We sailed out, and I was sleeping peacefully. There is a term called submarine lag on a submarine, akin to jet lag, because once we sail out, we reverse our day and night, right? So your night on the land will be your day on the submarine. So first few days you feel a bit dizzy. So I was sleeping and suddenly somebody woke me up, right? And the commanding officer is calling you. And in that half senses, I went up to him in the control room. He told me, "Okay, Lieutenant Mittal, please take over the watch of the submarine." I was surprised. I was sleeping and I was very, very new, and he was telling me take the watch of the submarine. Okay, I took all the data from the previous watchkeeper. I sat on the watch chair. The whole control panel was in front of me, and suddenly commanding officer said, "Okay, Lieutenant Mittal, please prepare the submarine for snorting." And snorting is the most difficult operation in the submarine, one of the most difficult operation of the submarine, where you have to bring the submarine at 9 meters level and stabilize it, zero list or trim, exactly stabilized, and then you raise the snort mask so that you can suck in the oxygen to charge the batteries. And it's a so difficult operation to do. For example, if your snort mask is not leveled and the water enters inside it, it will flood the whole submarine in the battery pit, and your submarine will be useless after that, and endanger the life of the people. And he was asking me to do such a difficult operation, right? So the first step was to stabilize the submarine, and that will be done after a complex set of calculations that how much of water will be transferred here and there into all the all the tanks. And then different controls will be there so that submarine is stabilized. I did all the calculations and gave the order to the Master Chief Petty Officer, who was responsible for doing list and trim and transferring all that water. So Master Chief Petty Officer in Navy is like Subedar of Army, who is like 20-30 years of experience. And in many occasions, his experience is far greater than anybody else on the submarine, even the commanding officer. Like in the Army parlance, if he hears some gunfire, he will tell that ये बंदूक कितनी पुरानी है और कितनी दूर से फायर आ रहा है और उसके पीछे कौन जवान है जो फायर कर रहा है, वो भी वो बता देगा. So I gave him the order that Masa, please transfer this much water, something like that. But I could see that instead of 2 tons of water, he had just transferred 1 ton of water, right? I was very angry, but I could not speak anything in front of the commanding officer, right? He just showed me, ठीक है साहब, ठीक है. Or that submarine went into perfect stable position after that. And उसके बाद में उसके पास गया and asked him, माँ साहब कैसे हुआ? तो माँ साहब मुझे बोलते हैं कि सर आपकी जगह कोई और भी होता ना, मैं हमेशा यही करता हूँ क्योंकि कैलकुलेशन कभी सही नहीं आएगी. सबमरीन 40 साल पुरानी हो गई है जब हमने रशिया से ली थी, है ना. ये सिर्फ आप एक्सपीरियंस से सुन के बता सकते हैं कि आप 2 टन पानी डालोगे बट ओनली 1 टन वाटर विल गो बिकॉज पाइप हैज आल्सो shrunk in over the time and there is some deposits inside the pipe. So this was one of the very, very memorable experience which I had, that if your men trust you, then half of the battle is won. Important qualities of the officers in Indian Armed Forces also, that they take their men together, and in their decision making there is an important part their men also play, which is contrary to what is shown in jingoism in all those movies around. But men are also equally important than alongside the officers.
Got it, sir. Sir, Sanjay sir, I would like to come to you. as a helicopter pilot, how does an ideal day would look like for you in terms of your role, responsibilities, and routine? How does it look for you?
Okay, so ideal day morning, get up somewhere close to 6:10, 6:15, and I used to go for sometimes a walk in the society or in the area, sometimes run jog, and come back by 7 o'clock, and come back by maybe somewhere 6:50 to be precise, because the clock, we run the clock backwards. If I have to go somewhere at 7:30, then I'll keep calculating backwards. So 6:50 by the time you come back and go for a bath and all. And 7:30 used to be 0730 used to be the morning briefing of the squadron of the station. So reach there, attend the morning briefing, and after the morning briefing, somewhere 20-25 minutes later, then comes the squadron briefing. So squadron briefing used to be somewhere at 7:55 or 8 o'clock to be precise. So the squadron briefing used to be very tight, I would say. Once you clear all the Met terms, what is the Met forecast for today, the flying per se, what are the sorties which are planned, and in which all missions I am being involved, somewhere as the captain of the aircraft, somewhere as a co-pilot. So the duties are all different. And now the squadron briefing is the most important thing, because here the commanding officer or maybe the instructor who is sitting, the qualified flying instructor, he's gonna ask you the emergency sessions again and a few questions related to the aircraft. And these, although as a pilot, 10 years I've flown this machine and I know each and everything about the machine. In fact, there are the different types of oil also there which are used in this machine. And even if somebody closes the eyes, then with the smell, you can tell what is the name of the oil which is being used. Like engine oil दिखा रहे हैं आप, या main gearbox का oil है, या tail gearbox का oil है. So this way, the training happens like this. So then he'll gonna ask you a few questions, and then you have your breakfast. We call it pre-flight meals. So have a rich breakfast and then go for the sorties. The sorties are quite challenging and where you have to perform. And if you're going as a captain of the aircraft, the duties are totally different. If you go as a co-pilot, the duties are totally different. So we used to do each of the individual's duty, so that as a cockpit crew resource management CRM, the sortie is successful. Then you come back, maybe 2 sorties, maybe 3 sorties, come back, do some debriefing. What are the mistakes we did today? So for tomorrow, what is the learning sessions? And then interact with your men, who are the sole pillars behind the successful working of these machines. Interact with them, have a discussion with them. Then the lunch time happens, and go for the lunch. Post lunch again, in evening, it's the office work. So you gel upon with your office work, any project you are involved. So any project which is happening. So as a project manager, again, you get involved in those projects and see up till where the project is being run. And if there are any bottleneck situations, then again, you try to resolve those bottlenecks. And evening, then we used to come back. Maybe if you are in the squadron in evening, then again, evening sports. And then you come back maybe by 6:30. And if you are planned for the night flying, then for the night flying, you have to rest in the afternoon. It is very much mandatory. So there is an afternoon rest period which are given to a pilot, so that you go back again in evening and fly by night and come back again. So this is the ideal routine of an aviator's life. And this is when we are on ground. If we are sailing as a helicopter pilot, if we are sailing along with the ships of Indian Navy, then there is no routine. I mean, anytime the flying can happen. So you have to be flexible and agile and turn and change yourself as per the routine of the ship, as per the requirement of the command. Because command has I am a resource of a command, and I have to serve the command. So you need to be agile and flexible. So then there is no routine, to be very honest.
Got it. Chandresh sir, coming to you, if you could also tell us how does any ideal day would look like as a submariner, and also how does your routine would look like, to whatever details you can give us.
Yeah, so when the submarine is not sailing, right? When the submarine is alongside the jetty, submariners do not get much of physical exercise when they are inside the submarine or when they are sailing. So we get a lot of importance on the physical exercise whenever we are outside. And submariners also get special ration better than the other people in the armed forces, right? So, which tend to make them enjoy it a bit more. So that's why we need to focus more on physical aspects when we are not sailing. So a typical day would begin at 5:50 when the whole submarines company, along with all the officers and sailors, will assemble for morning PT or the morning exercises, and that will generally last till 6:30 or so. And after that, we will go to our own quarters for a change. And then it will be followed by the breakfast. And by 8:20, we'll all assemble on board the submarine casing. Right, the submarine's outer part is known as casing, and you can stand over it. And then we will have a morning both watches. We call it both watches. It's a naval terminology where all the departments will meet, like electrical department, mechanical department, we call it engineering department, the executive department, which is akin to infantry of the Indian Army, and other department like provost and everything else will meet and discuss within their departments what has to be done for the day. And the commanding officer or the executive officer is the second in command in Navy, will bring out any general orders if they have to give, right? And after that, all departments will go on in for their work. We are from the electrical department, so we'll generally do some maintenance of the machinery, some spare parts, tying up with would be there some external agencies or something like that. And this will go on till lunch. Then about 12:30 or 1 o'clock we'll have lunch, and then again till 3:30 we'll work. 3:30 we'll have tea. By 5 o'clock we'll finish, and again we'll freshen up and assemble for sports. So we'll have sports for around 1 hour or something like that in the evening, and then everybody is free. Submariners also party a lot. So on most of the occasions, we'll have some or the other party going on with the Jawans, with the senior Jawan, junior Jawans, within the officers, or of submariners meeting other people around because they are generally not there in the base or something like that. Some squadrons arranging party for us, we are arranging party for them, or something like that. So generally parties go on, and this cycle repeats. Whenever we are on board a submarine, generally there are only two tasks: either you sleep or you are on the watch. So you have 3 to 4 hours of watches, and in other time you will be on your bunks. And there are not sufficient bunks for everybody, so we'll do hot bunking. So one person will sleep, another person will go on the watch, and the bunk is still hot, so the other person will come again and sleep. So that is the routine in brief.
Got it, sir. Sanjay, sir, coming to you, you would have done different kinds of operation as a helicopter pilot. You have done medical evacuation. You would have been doing humanitarian assistance. Any memorable incident that you have from your career in the Indian Navy, which still hits you or still in your memory?
This is about one search and rescue in which I was the part. This was somewhere in year 2017, I would say. We were sailing on a warship, and it was a prolonged sailing of somewhere 2 months, I would say. And there was a distress call received on board the ship, and there was a fishing vessel, a small fishing vessel, and there was some fishermen drowning from the fishing vessel. The fishing vessel was not in the good state, I would say. Maybe because of that it was drowning. So there were 3 fishermen. So we had got the alarm in the morning that on Motorola channel, and then finally I had to launch with one of my co-pilot, and we this was somewhere close to 10 miles, and they were in the middle of the ocean, where the depth is in kilometers and kilometers. So we saved those 3 of them, and there I would say the boat was quite damaged. I mean, not because of the boat only it happened. They had come so far, and finally the water started going inside the boat, and they were drowning. So we were able to save all 3 of them. And this is one of a memorable event of my life, although there were a couple other memorable events also. But this is somewhere close to my heart. At least I could save somebody's life. And I mean, किसी को जन्म दे नहीं सकते तो at least किसी को बचा तो लिया, वो वाली बात है. So this is one of a very special moment to me.
Sir, since both of you have served in Indian Navy for around a decade and more, So if you could tell us, any three life lessons that you have learned from the Indian Navy, which you still cherish. Chandresh, probably we can start with you.
Yes, so the biggest strength of armed forces is their diversity. So I have felt firsthand on multiple occasions that we derive our core values and strength, and we are also able to perform uh, together in such difficult situations again and again without failing, just because we give so much of importance to diversity. And
Hmm.
all those faltu things which we keep on hearing outside, which are anti diversity, right? We do not hear it inside the armed forces, and this is the biggest motivator and driver for people to work towards, because I am now in the corporate world, and all the corporate people will agree with me that the most difficult thing for a boss to do is to motivate his or her employees, right? Motivation is the most difficult thing. And in armed forces, as an officer, we are in the job of motivating people to die. So motivation itself is difficult. Motivating somebody to die, how do you do that? As a young lieutenant, that's the biggest question which looms before us. And
Hmm.
you can only do so when you derive strength from your platoon, your unit, which is based on diversity, different people coming together for a common cause, and that cause is bigger than themselves.
Got it.
This is the biggest lesson which I have taken from armed forces, and I'm also applying it to my corporate career.
Got it,
One
sir.
of a lesson I would like to brief that for the military teaches us something, do not get fixated to the small things. There are bigger things in life. So we call it do not cry behind the small things, small happiness. There are bigger agendas in the life. If you keep running behind small things, मेरा ये नहीं हुआ, मेरा वो नहीं हुआ, मेरा इस तरीके से नहीं हुआ, उस तरीके से नहीं हुआ, so you lose out on the bigger aim, bigger ambition of the organization. So this is what military has taught me, that first is the the country, this is the very famous motto of Chetwood also. Yeah. So the country, I would say, Fauj has taught us the country, the welfare of the country comes first, then the men which we command, the men which are part of our team, then their welfare comes. And finally, if you have some space, then the individual welfare comes. So this is what the services has taught us. And this is again now being, Chandresh is now into the corporate, and he'll agree along with me that the corporates are also moving towards this mindset only, servant leadership and empathy. So this is something which military has taught me.
Got it.
So
Uh,
one more thing,
uh,
if I can come here, like one thing which I notice in corporate is people are fed up from difficult bosses. Everywhere, like not even in corporate, in schools and colleges, people will have difficult teachers, they will have difficult supervisors, difficult bosses, and it is the biggest trouble in their life. Believe me, you cannot have more difficult bosses than military, right?
Yeah.
But you should believe in one way or another that organization is bigger than the boss, right? Boss will
hmm.
also change. Change is inevitable. So instead of getting yourself troubled from the difficulties of the boss, because that boss is also good with somebody else, right? It not be possible that your enemy is enemy with everyone, right? He would be friends with someone else. So try to
Hmm.
look into those qualities which the other person has, which influences your boss, and you will get rid almost instantly of all the difficult bosses.
Got it, sir.
And one
So,
thing I would like to tell your followers, just close the eyes and come to this side. Military is amazing. It's the way you live your life, I would say. Forge teaches us the same thing, and people should come this side.
got it. Got it, sir. Sir, I have a few set of questions on, because both of you are short service commission officers. So once you come
Okay.
out of it, the Army or the Air Force or Navy, you undergo pre-release courses. So, but what are the various opportunities as an officer do you get once you're out of the forces?
Okay. So I'll take from both ends, as a short service officer and a permanent and as permanent commission officer also. So maybe 3 or 4 years ago, there were not enough corporate opportunities available in India. But right now, corporates have woken up to the importance the veterans can bring to their organizations. So there are n number of highly paying, good multinational organizations please mark this as multinational, because Indian organizations are still waking up to this, right? There are global investment banks, there are global e-commerce giants, there are technology companies, there are consulting companies who are hiring veterans in almost all the roles. No role is a no-no for a veteran nowadays, and they are performing very, very well. In fact, better than their civilian counterparts, because the values and the training which military imparts to its veterans, it has no parallels anywhere else. And these multinational corporations have realized this long before in their own countries, with their experience with their veterans, and their formalized program is being run from the government side to the corporate side, so that they get tax breaks if they take in veterans. So their experience with veterans has been very, very good, and they have for past 3-4 years have applied the same experience in India also, and they have been hiring veterans in very, very large numbers. So if somebody wants a short career in military, short service commission is very good. Please go ahead. Your 10, 12, 14 years into military will push you ahead in civil life also.
Got it.
And adding on to Chandresh, once we are about to retire from the services gives us an opportunity to do the pre-release course. We call it the PRC. So there are many good colleges in India, few IIMs and few government colleges, and very few private colleges are also there. When I say few, there are very few colleges, and they have tied up with the Ministry of Defense, and the officers who are about to retire or who are on the last leg of their journey in the service, you apply in those colleges and the selection happens, and if you are selected, then you undergo the 6 months of management course, and which teaches you from the life from the military and helps you moving on to the corporate. So whatever I have learned in the military and whatever is yet whatever is still yet pending for me to learn, these colleges help for the veterans, and then we move on to the corporates in the fashion which Chandresh has brought out.
Got it. So my final question to you would be, because a lot of aspirants will be watching it, what will be your message to all of them who want to join the forces? So we can start with you.
One thing, if I can pinpoint during SSB, is I find that a lot of candidates are getting screened out. And I don't know that whether they know or not, but the initial aptitude test which takes place in the screening is the most important part of the screening, right? Even it is so important that if you get an excellent grade in that test, and if you don't speak even a single word during your group discussion or during story narration, then also no one can reject you, right? So please focus a lot more on the aptitude part of it, perform very well in it, and then everything else will fall in place. So the first important obstacle is getting through that screening barrier, and which many candidates find it most difficult. The second part in it is, once you write a story during the screening process, many candidates will feel that I have to narrate the same story, but no, nobody reads that story. Even after learning from the other aspirants, you felt that you have written a wrong story or some better story could have been written. Please change your story in narration, right? Nobody will read you story which you have written previously on the paper. This is for the screening part. Yeah, these two things.
And apart from that, there are some individuals things that if you already have your forefather in the services, then it becomes easier for you. There's nothing like that. To be very honest, I come from a totally civil background. Nobody is there in my near and dear ones into the armed forces. And I never took the training. Few individuals have this idea also, if you take training, it'll gonna help you. I would say it'll gonna just polish you. But whatever you have inside you, the positivity, the amount of positivity you have, or the amount of negativity you have, you cannot remove it by a piece of training of a month or so. It requires years and years of practice. So if an individual have a positive mindset, a positive attitude, yes, I have the spirit to do, then services, then you just need to mold yourself. I would say थोड़ा सा कहते हैं ना हीरे को तराशने की जरूरत होती है. You just need to tarashify that hira and that Hira will automatically get selected into the armed forces. So this is number one. The number two is the SSB, the interviews, the Services Selection Board SSB interview, maybe with a written exam, maybe without a written exam, and the procedure of 5 to 6 days. It tests each and every aspects of an individual. Maybe a school-going kid who is applying after 12th via NDA, or maybe a college graduate who is applying by post his graduation or the engineering. So it tests all the aspects. And yes, if you are found fit, then you are in. If you are found wanting, if you are found floating in between, then sorry, boss, not selected. So this way it happens. And anything else you would like to ask us?
No, sir. I just got one question. They were just asking if you have got a chance to join and do the same thing which you have done in Indian Navy, would you like to do it or not? That's what I've got.
Yeah, so I think they are asking, do you join Indian Air Force or the Navy? Not even in the Navy, I would again join the submarine arm, because this happens with everyone in the armed forces, whether in the Army, Navy, or Air Force. Whatever regiment they would belong to, whatever arm they would belong to, they would always go back to that same arm of the regiment, because it's not a one-day relation which you make, right, with the people there. Your regiment, your arm will remember you throughout your life. You will, throughout your life, will attend events, keep on getting messages from the people, something like that. So Navy or armed forces is a way of life, not just a service.
So, well, I joined Navy when I was 21 years old. I served for 12 years almost. So now I'm 33. You give me an opportunity tomorrow again, I'll join the same Indian Navy and the same aviation branch, and I'll gonna fly the same helicopters, and then again I'll serve for 10 or 12 years. And if you give me another chance, I'll again serve my nation. So there is there's a lot of energy still remaining, and it is just about the opportunity. That's all.
Got it, sir.
By the way, officers who retire are in emergency list for next 5 years. So
yes,
if in next 5 years government wants, we will join the armed forces any day.
Got it, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this session, both of you, and telling us, how was your journey in the Indian Navy and various experiences that you had. I hope a lot of people who have watched us here and will be watching this video later will get a perspective about the life which is above the sea and also below the sea. How does it look like, and various experiences. So thanks again, sir, for your time on this session. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you, Akash, and
Thanks
God bless you and your channel, Military Mantra. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. It was absolute our pleasure. Thanks a lot. Bye.